Your top story at this hour: the man who shot and killed his son on Tuesday night in what some have described as a freak accident will now appear in the Lenasia Magistrates Court. His case has just been moved from the Protea Magistrates Court. The incident has sent shockwaves across the country after the man shot his grade 11 son at the Innerdale High School south of Johannesburg on Tuesday night.
According to police, the man fell asleep in the car while waiting for his son during extra lessons outside the school. And when the son got back to the car after his class, he knocked on the window, but the man opened fire, believing he was being hijacked.
Let's get more on this tragic story now. SABC reporter Gillian Pillay joins us now live. Gillian, we earlier spoke at the Protea Magistrates Court. It's now being moved. What do we know? What's the latest development?
Well, as you said there, Blaine, the matter has been moved to the Lenasia Magistrates Court. Information that we got yesterday from police was that it would appear in the Protea Magistrates Court. So we just travelled a little bit of a distance. We understand that the matter will appear after 11 o'clock. The father will make a very brief appearance. As I said earlier, he faces a charge of murder, which falls under the Schedule 6 offence. And the Schedule 6 offence, according to the Criminal Procedures Act, Blaine, carries a minimum sentence of 15 years. So today, it will be a very brief appearance. He will have to put the court will put the charge to him. They will establish if he has legal representation. If he doesn't have legal representation, Blaine, they will obviously offer him legal aid. From there onwards, the matter will be postponed, and in the next court appearance, Blaine, during the bail proceedings, he will have to give exceptional circumstances why he should be released on bail, and those kinds of things will look at whether there's a flight risk, a range of conditions that he will have to bring forward to the court under the exceptional circumstances heading why he should be released on bail, Blaine. But as I said, we do now have a court where he will appear in. It's Court 3 in the courthouse behind me. Very brief appearance, and we're still trying to establish if we can get our cameras into court so that we could bring the audiences, the proceedings as brief as they will be this morning, Blaine, after 11.
Gillian, has the accused appeared, arrived in court? Obviously, the family, I understand, is in mourning. So are we expecting any family members as well to be at court?
Blaine, yesterday we spoke to the stepmother, Sibongile Chabalala. She granted us an interview from the family home. And I'm sure they will come here to give some support to the 50-year-old father, during these proceedings. The family has had a dual loss. They've lost a son, more than 48 hours ago, and also the head of the home is also now appearing in court. So it's a great loss on either side. As you said there, Blaine, it's a tragic incident that has sent shockwaves through the country. The dad, in his version of events, calling it an alleged mistaken identity, that he had pulled that trigger thinking it was a hijacking incident that was taking place. But police have told us that they will obviously look at all the evidence. They will explore, looking at whether the dad was intoxicated. Those tests is still, we're still awaiting the outcome of those tests. We also understand that they will look at the relationship between the father and the son to definitely determine what was the cause of death, what could have been the motive, or if it was truly just a mistaken identity as the dad had put forward in his version, Blaine.
Yeah, I guess, Gillian, that's the big question. Police have their work cut out for them. Thank you very much indeed for your time. As always, Gillian Pillay in Johannesburg.
And staying with the story, 25 guns are lost or stolen from civilians a day. This is according to the Gun-Free South Africa. Adele Kirsten of Gun-Free South Africa said this during an interview earlier on the show. This follows an armed robbery at the Eden Park police station east of Johannesburg last night. One R5 rifle and 2 empty magazines cannot be accounted for.
In South Africa, we have something like 25 guns a day lost or stolen from civilians. So that's a big part of our task. And the second thing we do is, because I think raising awareness plays some part, but then working with communities and particularly with young people to look at ways in which to make their spaces like gun-free zones, to be working with CPFs, so to be building safer communities. And then the third thing we do is obviously lobby and pressure government to strengthen the law. Because the key thing, I guess, here is the responsibility and negligence. So in this instance, the law is very clear. You can't fire unless your target is directly in your sights. So the issue of irresponsible use of firearms, I think in the last couple of months, has been a big issue in the country.
Just in speaking about the law as well, just unpack the Firearms Control Act of 2000 for us, specifically about disclosure, how people who have firearms on them are supposed to disclose to the community they interact with.
It's a good law. It's based on sort of global standards that we know work across countries with very different contexts to South Africa. And I guess some of the key provisions is that you regulate the person. And that means doing background checks. It requires spousal interviews. And a lot of that, it requires references from friends or colleagues. And a lot of that is around trying to establish whether the individual applying for a gun has a history of violent behavior, because that's the biggest indicator for a potential to use violence. There are obviously issues around age. In South Africa, our age restriction is 21. Then we have some interesting criteria, which is that if you have a conviction under the Domestic Violence Act, you are automatically excluded from even applying for a weapon.